We will start and we will go for 30 minutes. I usually go leaving a tad longer. Don't watch the clock. I'll let you know at the end. Some people keep looking, when is she going to stop? We will practice and we'll focus on ourselves. And then at the last few minutes, we'll send it out. Okay. You also can put your hand on your heart. I find this sometimes very comforting, especially if you're having some kind of physical problem or you feel ill or something. It's just like nice to just hold your hand. Sometimes I do that, you know. The idea is we're doing acts that are metta inspired, right? We want to cultivate that. So find a place that's comfortable for yourselves. And we're going to start with just taking some deep breaths in and deep breaths out and allowing your body. You want to come into your body, right? The metta is a feeling. It's not mental gymnastics. It's not a mental practice. It's a feeling. We want to generate that feeling of care, right? We want to incline the mind and feel it in our body. So let us soften and breathing in and out for just a moment and allow your spine, if possible for you, some people are not able to sit upright. If it's possible for you to sit upright with your spine uplifted, this helps the breath process just move. But it's okay to do metta in a chair lying down, but just to see if you can sit up and breathe. And arrive in the moment, arrive in your body. Let's arrive together. We are live on planet Earth this eve of Christmas. And so we just breathe in that peace on the inhale and the word peace on the exhale, and notice how that affects you by just as you inhale and exhale, say the words on the in breath and the word peace on the out breath, and relaxing. Relax your neck and your shoulders as you do that. And you may need to adjust your neck and even rotate your shoulders to let go and to soften your body. Any holding of tightness. See if you can just let go of more and more every time you exhale. Feel your hands. Notice how they are positioned. And bring your awareness to your heart center now and just take some breaths in and out and just visualize with each in-breath and out-breath, you are just breathing in the word peace. We want our hearts to be peaceful. We're practicing peace, inner peace through loving ourselves. So just breathing in and out. We know the heart has its own brain and its own communication system. So we're aware of that, the intelligence. So bring your awareness now deep into your belly, focusing some of the breaths right under the belly button, deep in the belly. See if you can breathe in peace and breathe out peace. A place where we hold tension is in this belly area. We digest our emotions in this place. So let everything go on the exhale. See if you can just surrender, let go of any holding. And feel your body soften with your awareness. Loving awareness heals by just bringing your attention. So feel your sitting bones now. Feel yourself in whatever position you're in the chair, on the floor, on your bed. Just feel the weight of your body making contact, the hips and the sitting bones. And allow your weight to be supported, upright but grounded at the same time. Feel your legs, your knees, the lower legs and calves and ankles. And now your feet. Feel your feet in whatever position. So you're bringing your awareness from the top of your head all the way down to your feet. This loving awareness. Feel the bottoms of the feet. Breathing peace in and out through your feet. Now, as we begin our practice, the body is softened and receptive, and now begin with a visualization of yourself, and it could be as if looking into a mirror, or it could be an image of yourself at another time, another age, even as a baby. Whatever is supportive, doing it in the easiest way, the way that evokes the feeling of friendliness. And so as you hold this image, seeing yourself through the eyes of Kuan Yin, Mother Mary, the Great Mother, and we begin to offer these phrases of metta to this image. May I be happy and peaceful. May I be safe and protected. May I be healthy and strong in this body. And sending love to your body. See if you can breathe in every cell. This wish, may my body be healthy and strong. And may I live with ease and joy and well-being. So it helps to say your name sometimes, or a nickname or a family name. It helps if sometimes to place the hands, hold the hands, one hand holding the other. Or you could say, may you be happy and peaceful. And that could be a different way of expressing the metta, changing you and I around. But let's keep the phrases going. Stay as connected as you can. If your mind begins to wander, just Soon as you become aware, just very gently bring it back and just begin with the next phrase. May I be happy and peaceful. And may I be safe and protected. And may I be healthy and strong in this body. And may I live with ease and joy and well-being. And so keeping the phrases going as best you can. Take your time. There's no rush. Each phrase is a gift. Each phrase is like a seed planted. Seeing yourself through the eyes of great compassion, through the mother. May I be happy and peaceful. May I be safe and protected. May I be healthy and strong in this body. And may I live with ease and joy and well-being. Try to stay connected to the image of yourself or to your hand on your heart. Over and over, we come back, softening the body and beginning again. May I be happy and peaceful. May I be safe and protected. May I be healthy and strong in this body. And may I live with ease and joy and well-being. Allow the breath to be very soft and natural. Letting go of any tension in the shoulders or the back or the chest with each phrase. Soften the belly. See yourself through the eyes of wisdom, through the eyes of love and kindness. May I be happy and peaceful. May I be safe and protected. May I be healthy and strong in this body. And may I live with ease and joy and well-being. Stay connected to the visualization. And if you only feel very faint feelings, that's okay. Even 1%, 2% is good enough. The intention to send love to yourself is power in and of itself. Just keep practicing. Keep coming back to your heart over and over. We just keep coming back to presence, to the practice. Keep softening your bodies and taking your time. Each phrase has its own special medicine. May I be happy and peaceful. May I be safe and protected. May I be healthy and strong in this body. May I live with ease and joy and well-being, however life is at this moment in time. May I live with ease. May I be happy and peaceful. May I be safe and protected. May I be healthy and strong in this body. May I live with ease and joy and well-being. We say the phrases over and over. A few more moments here. See if you can really connect with this compassion and friendliness. Just seeing yourself like through the eyes of the Great Mother, of Tara, Kuan Yin. At any age, at any time, offering this gentleness. And then for the last few moments here, let's extend this feeling, this heartfelt wish to include the other people here on our class. Let's extend it to our families, our communities, our neighbors and coworkers. And just begin to include more and more people into your vision. Imagining they're all around you, and we send this wish. May our families and our communities be happy and peaceful. And all those beings who are traveling by air or on buses and trains and walking and trying to reach destinations all over. We send all beings who are en route. May they all be safe and protected. And we send this metta out farther to include all the people in our cities and across this nation, and also beyond this into South America and different continents, countries, in Europe, in Africa, in Jamaica. We send this love all over. Just imagine this heart activation within you. As we send these wishes, may all these beings be happy and peaceful. May all these beings be safe and protected. May all beings everywhere, thinking of the children and the elders, may they all be healthy and strong in their bodies. And may all of humanity and beyond, in every dimension in the cosmos, every planet, every galaxy and universe, live with ease and joy and well-being. And we send our love down to Mother Earth and surrounding Gaia, Pachamama. May the earth be happy. And I just always imagine the earth in my arms wrapped around this beautiful blue ball of light, kissing the top, sending love to this earth, activating the global heart. May all of our hearts be happy. May they open, radiate, and shine like the sun. May we awaken to the teachings of the Christ light heart of love. May we become the beacons of light in this time of the Kali Yuga and the great turning. And we take a breath in of this metta energy and just breathe it out on the exhale. And see this going out in every direction, including yourself over and over. And as we end our practice this evening, we do so with just a bow. Always we bow to ourselves. We bow to our goodness. We bow to our practice of walking in love. We bow to our all of our good intentions and motivations. We bow, we bow, we bow. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Okay, everybody, that was a good one. I could have kept going, but I'm sure I'm sure some of you also felt like, wow, that was strong. I felt the energy. And again, thank you all for your practice, because the more that we're loving ourselves, the more healing we're bringing. Your metta is healing me. When you love yourself, we're loving each other. We are the ecosystem. We are the cells, right? In one collective. So there is a law of resonance, right? And so there are many people who are in church and praying tonight and sending wishes, and it's like our energy joins with people who are doing practices, and there's a sense of many people coming into this next couple of days with goodwill. And so we also feel that. And so, so good. So if you need to stretch your body a little bit, if you need to make a little movement, I'm going to give a little talk here, and then share some some wisdom from a great teacher, Ajahn Chah, and say also just saying hi to all of you. If you feel like turning on your cameras, great. I see Nippy and Rupa and of course Baba and then Tony. Hopefully you're all feeling meta. And I see Robert and Ari and Briandi. I feel like I know everyone on here. Well, all right. So I wanted to share a little bit that I think could be helpful as we move through this next period in our, many of you have time off from where your jobs are taking breaks. It's the solstice we had on Saturday, and now it's Tuesday, and we have always these epic astrological movements, but I won't talk about that too much because I can get really into astrology. The Egyptians were into astrology, and Tibetan Buddhists study astrology. So there's something very powerful I keep trying to figure out with astrology. When I'm older, maybe it'll all make sense. But for now, I want to talk and share some heart medicine. Who I was thinking a lot about is Ajahn Chah. And Ajahn Chah was a teacher who you could think about Ajahn Chah as being a great ancestor because he passed on. But I am in many ways in Ajahn Chah's lineage, even though I never met him in his human body. So I spent so many years in my early 20s, I met my teacher, my first real teacher who my meeting with him was life-changing, and that's Jack Kornfield. And when I met him, I was in my early 20s, and he was not famous like he is now. Now it's like, I felt so lucky that I got to meet him at a time where he was just starting to have more of a bigger reach in the world. When I was meeting him, he was teaching retreats all the time, constantly renting out venues. He just had 1 or 2 books, and when I met him, it was really like this beautiful meeting because I was so lost, and I went on this retreat when I was like, I think I was 24. I went on a 10-day retreat, and I did not even know that it was who was leading the retreat or that it was Buddhist. I didn't even know. Somebody told me they have vegetarian food, it's silent, and they'll teach you meditation. And I was like, sign me up, right? My life was a mess. And so I just remember that night meeting him on the first night of the retreat. I didn't even know who he was, and he was leading the retreat. And I had such a profound connection, and I immediately felt like I had found my heart teacher, and I didn't know what that meant, but it felt like he adopted me as soon as we met. Like, okay, I'm going to look out for you. And he started to help me get on other retreats and then start doing trainings. And he basically became like my spiritual guide. And I moved up near Spirit Rock Meditation Center to be close to him. And then I started into a 10-year process of training. So I spent 10 years at Spirit Rock. And over that 10-year period, spending so much time I got to be so lucky to spend so much time behind the scenes with Jack and travel with him and assist at years. I assisted at retreats and would be in the room and would be helping and leading, so many of these big retreats. And I just got to hear him talk so much about his teacher, Venerable Ajahn Chah. And I felt like I began to know Ajahn Chah through Jack. And when I graduated after 10 years of teacher training, I got a transmission through Jack through Ajahn Chah's lineage, which is the lineage of what we call the Thai Forest Masters. And this is a lineage that's rooted in sort of ancient Buddhism, which is where these Thai forest monks and nuns would just go out into the wild, and they'd be sitting and meditating and living with a lot of renunciation, but with the spirit of the forest. And they would be practicing a kind of mindfulness that was infused with not only spaciousness, but also great heart. And as many of you know, Jack Kornfield is a heart-based teacher. If you go hear him, most people are crying within minutes because he tells so many stories. He's also a storyteller. Stories of Palestinians, stories of people in Bosnia, stories of survival, stories of the heart, and he just basically travels around the world telling these stories, trying to bring people together through the Dharma, but through love and compassion. And so he would always tell me about his 6 years living with Ajahn Chah, and he would tell me all these funny stories. And so I wanted tonight's talk to be focused on the qualities of the heart when it is turned towards equanimity. Okay, what does it mean to love with an open heart? It kind of means to accept that life is always changing, that the only thing that we can count on is change. Octavia Butler always wrote, God is change, right? Like this constant movement. And to become a lover of life and to really live with an open heart, right? And I don't mean love everything about life, like we don't see the difficult. No, we're always seeing the difficult. But how to walk through this life with resiliency, right? Not getting blown off course, meeting every moment, whether it's pleasant or unpleasant. How do we do that with the open heart, but in a balanced way, right? How do we live without these attachments, right? That can keep us open-hearted in every situation. Because that's my prayer, is I don't want to just be open-hearted when everything's great and everything's perfect and, I'm having a great life. But how can I stay open-hearted when I'm tired and my body hurts, or there's a conflict in the community and it's so painful, or when things are hard, or where there's a great loss, right? A heartbreak, or community falls apart, or God forbid there's like an accident, right? And something happens. It's like, I feel like the heart has to be tested. It has to be ready to weather the storm, right? That's what my first book, A Fierce Heart, was about, was like, not when everything's going great, but can I stay practicing when everything looks dark, right? Where it feels like the lights have truly gone out, where there's no hope. Can I generate that? And I feel like that's a lot of what my practice is right now. And so this equanimity gives us this long view of situations, right? Instead of being like, oh, that's terrible, right? We're like, well, we don't know, right? We don't know yet. Is that terrible? Maybe when it comes back around, it won't be. Sometimes what's bad is good, right? Something that initially looks tragic or painful or horrible can actually be something really beautiful. And so Jack would tell me these stories about him being a very young monk, right? He went to Thailand out of college. He was going to be a doctor. He went to the Peace Corps. He met another monk, and then that led him to meeting Ajahn Chah. And Ajahn Chah had an awakening at a very young age, right? His mind, out of deep suffering, his mind awoke. He was practicing. He was reported to be fully enlightened. And basically, he just sat on a deck out in the middle of the forest. And everyone came to him. He didn't look for a community to, Westerners. He wasn't looking for anything. He was like, okay, you want to come and practice? Okay, here you go. Right, here you go. And he was known to have not only this sense of humor, but also nothing seemed to ruffle him. So there's a story that Jack told me that demonstrated to him when he was the young monk. So all the time, Ajahn Chah would teach them things like sadness is like this, right? Because all of the monks, when they would come train with him, they were very emotional, right? And then they were renouncing and all their emotions and anger and sadness and joy and confusion and doubt. And Ajahn Chah used to just look at them and he goes, right, doubt feels like this, right? And he would make an expression. He goes, sadness feels like this, right? And he was teaching them how to be with emotions in a way that was less tied to it. And so Jack was always in awe, trying to work with his emotions. So he talked about this one day where they were going to visit another monk at a monastery, and they got a driver who was, in Asia, you don't have to have a license to be out on the road. Nobody, I mean, I when I was in India, I'm quite sure I had an 11-year-old rickshaw driver. So you don't need a license, you don't need to, this is a long time ago, right? They might have done a little bit more now, but in most parts of Asia, anyone can jump in a car and take off, right? And so they had a driver who was driving them around the mountains trying to get to this other monastery. And Jack and Ajahn Chah were sitting in the front seat of a truck. And literally, they were going around these hairpin turns, almost careening over. It was like the driver was going about 90 miles an hour. And Jack was literally shaking and holding on for dear life. And Ajahn Chah just was sitting there quite comfortable, right? He didn't seem to have an expression of fear. Jack was literally in terror. The ride went on for about 2 hours. So as soon as they got off, Jack got onto the ground and just started bowing. And he was like, oh my God. And then Ajahn Chah looked down at him and said, yes, that was uncertain, wasn't it? And started laughing and then walked off to go take care of his business. And it was at that moment where all Ajahn Chah would say was, that was uncertain. Yes, like, how is it possible to have that kind of equanimity, right? There was this other funny story. There was a nun that, and I'm telling stories because I'm just feeling connected and I'm calling in this kind of wisdom for myself, but for us to hold things. There was this other funny story Jack told me about him and Ajahn Chah. There was this nun that they all admired. She was a very beautiful, amazing practitioner, and they all had great respect for her practice. She was just out there in the jungle and was so devotional, okay, for years, and served all the monks in different ways and helped the other nuns and was a part of the community, and just this venerable nun, and they all put her on a very high platform, a very high regard, right, for this amazing nun. And then one day she disappeared, and they wondered what happened to her. Maybe she went traveling, but she wasn't showing up. And about 4 months later, while they were all traveling in Bangkok, they see their friend, the nun. She is with a Bible, and she's now saying she's a born-again Christian, and she starts attacking all of them, saying they had all the wrong views, that they were delusional, and that now, Jesus is the way, and they were all so upset. Anyway, as soon as they got back to the monastery, because she had spent a great deal of time also with Ajahn Chah, learning from him and practicing, when they got back to the monastery, they all ran and they said, Ajahn Chah, venerable, the nun, she is now telling us we're wrong. And now she's denouncing all of this. And he hysterically started laughing. And then he said, you know what? Maybe she's right. And then he started laughing and he just wandered off. And they just stood there, maybe she's right. What? Again, like looking at our attachments to things, right? We feel like we have it. We think we know what's going on, and a lot of times we don't. So this quality of equanimity, apparently Ajahn Chah, he would sit in the middle of the forest with tigers and hear them growling, and he would just be like practicing in, graveyards and all this stuff just to test his mind, to see if he was truly scared of all the ghosts, or was he faking it to himself, right? He goes, maybe I'm a fake. And then he would go out for a while and he would practice, right? To work, can I stay equanimous? Can I meet even the difficult moments with an open heart? I think that's, as I move into 2025, with all this news about what is going on, with this new administration and new laws, and oh my God, this all seems so overwhelming, but it's like, we don't know what the outcome is going to be. Can we rest in the equanimous heart, right? There's something that when we settle back, the heart has enough space to hold all the polarities, right? All the contradictions, all the confusion. And that's why the quality of equanimity is considered one of the most precious qualities within the Buddhist tradition. It's on every list, right? It's part of the 4 heart practices. Remember the Brahma Viharas, which mean divine vehicles: metta, compassion, joy, and equanimity. It's called upekkha. That's the name in Pali. And it means a heart that doesn't get caught, right? That can see without getting caught by what it sees, right? It's the heart that can hold complex issues, right? It's the heart that can not be falling all the time in these polarities, right? Of, oh my God, it's so awful. Oh yay, it's so great. Oh no, it's so awful. It's like, it's the mind that just finds its balance, right? We can sometimes be very dramatic and send ourselves in these huge waves. And so I think more and more we're learning how important it is for the heart to stay balanced and steady. We have to know that we are not always seeing the fullness of the whole picture of what is happening, right? That we have to somehow trust. And this doesn't mean we don't do work on behalf of the things that matter to us, the causes, the people. We stand up. We share our deepest views, and we make movements based on love and how we want to be compassionate in the world. But we do that with this background of that is the wise heart, right? The wise heart somehow understands complexity and impermanence, right? And I think there's a part of me that's trying to balance life and death and families and things coming together and then everything falling apart. It's almost like everything comes together so it can fall apart. And it's like, wow, what is that? This dance. And can I stay open-hearted? And can I stay more and more balanced? And it doesn't mean not having excitement. It doesn't mean just being numb. It means meeting every moment, but not reading so much into the good things. Like, this is going to be the best thing that ever happened. I'm tired of getting like so excited, right? And also so down when everything looks bleak, right? I have to trust, wow, out of no way, a way seems to be appearing, right? And so I'm finding a lot of joy in reflecting on these qualities of equanimity, right? And I'll never forget, there was this movie, I was thinking about this. There was this movie about that I remember seeing when I was a child on TV. It was one of those old movies, and it had these people who were in these rail cars. It was actually only 2 people in a rail car, and they were like flying through the mountains. And you know, a rail car, it wasn't really a rail car. It was almost like a, a cart attached to, it was flying through this rail on a railroad, right? It was on a railroad track, but it was just like a little bowl with people sitting in it, like a little piece of a train out on its own. And there was these two people in it, and they were on this huge journey on this train. And I just remember they were on there, and then it would snow, and then they would get their snow gear on. They had all this stuff in there. It would just magically appear. And then they were in the snow, and they were just riding, right? And then the rain, and then they would grab, and it would be like the rain. And then it would be this wind, and they would have all these like amazing things that would like block the wind, and they were just like going. But they never changed their expression. It wasn't like, oh no, it's raining. Oh my God. It was like, yeah, it will rain. There will be rain, right? There will be snow. There will be heat. And it was just something just very wise about it. It's like, I'm just tired of my heart being on this roller coaster. And it's like, can I just meet everything? It was kind of like my grandmother was like that. I have to evoke anime French again. And when I was moving, I'm going to start having some pictures of her in this space because she has so much wisdom. She could have wrote 20 books on this quality of equanimity, you guys. My grandmother had 7 children, okay? And there was 4 boys, 4 of my uncles, and 3 of my uncles had a lot of complexity. I mean, my father, my Uncle Tyrone, I mean, they had a lot, and their children had a lot going on because they just suffered a lot of emotional suffering, and people were always getting hurt, in jail, children dying, people getting, and my grandmother's home was literally Grand Central Station. So every day people, hello, how are you? It was like, well, let's bake the bread. So-and-so needs to go to the hospital. It was literally like she was a crisis hotline without even trying. It was just having 7 children, their children having children, all the neighbors, all the people at church. And she just held this force field of equanimity. And now my grandmother attributes all of this to Jesus. So that's another symbolism for today. She would thank Jesus out loud multiple times a day. But it's like she had this capacity that she never got thrown by the bad news. It was like, oh my God, this happened. Okay, well, let's get this together. Let's get this together. I mean, and everything happened to my grandmother. Anything that you thought would have been tragic, she turned into good conditions. My Uncle Wayne was her 7th child that she had in her late 40s. She did not expect to have another child. Wayne came. She always says that was my blessing. But Wayne had Down syndrome. So initially people were like, oh no, that's not a blessing, right? But my grandmother was like, that's my baby. He's a blessing. And did you know my Uncle Wayne and her lived together after her husband died? And they had the most magical, loving, and it was my Uncle Wayne who had got a good job cleaning at the United Way and had benefits, and my grandma was able to get those benefits, and they were able to pay for all their little stuff, and they went to church together, and my grandmother adored Wayne. Wayne was that, So it was always like what other people would tell her, oh, this is so terrible. She'd be like, well, maybe them getting a divorce is okay, because they do fight, and it's like she had that equanimity. And I really believe it's what kept her being able to hold everybody, right? Everybody, her home, her energy, her love, right? It had this equanimity. There was no judgment about what was happening. it was either, oh, that's a hard thing, or that's a blessing. And sometimes the hard thing, she would say, will become the blessing, right? And sometimes the blessing, she would laugh. Sometimes you wish you didn't even have a new car because then somebody hit it. You know, she would always have this like deep, wise wisdom. I always wish I could have taught her Dharma. But in some ways, she reminds me of Ajahn Chah. My grandmother was in a Black neighborhood in Wilmington, Delaware. Ajahn Chah was in the middle of the Thai forest, you know, but somehow they meet. Their hearts meet at this quality of equanimity. Let us learn how to be with these waves, keeping our heart open, not closing off, but just trusting that life is always moving. It's user friendly. I believe that. And so part of the beauty of equanimity is it has faith, right? Faith that everything is happening on time, right? That there are no mistakes. Everything is based on causality, right? Every moment somehow. And that's somehow we end our battle with life. So Ajahn Chah, and the last thing I'll say is I have this memory of I was gifted this giant picture of Ajahn Chah, but I left it at Spirit Rock because it was like the size of it was like the size of a wall. One of Jack's benefactors blew up this picture of Ajahn Chah laughing. And again, Ajahn Chah had no possessions. He didn't want any. He just sat there. He was like, if people bring food today, great. If they don't, maybe I need to lose weight. You know, everything that happened was like, okay, yeah, that's good. And we really long to do that. But the more we cultivate our heart, the more we will be able to trust life, because we're trusting the love. We're trusting that we're in this dance. And it's the dance of uncontrol. You know, we have no control here other than our responses, right? Our responses are where we have power. So I wanted to offer that, our venerable Ajahn Chah, and also Jack too, who has lived an incredible life and has tried to model his teacher through many ups and downs. And so here I am in this moment also with you all. Maybe all develop the heart of love and embody this equanimity, a heart that can be with everything in a balanced way, right? So that fear and hatred and jealousy and scarcity don't lodge themselves in us, because we are trusting that love is the frequency of truth. And may we just continue to grow in that. Because the next time I see you all, I think it will be the next year. So I want to take a moment here to see if there's any comments or questions. And most of you have hung in there the whole class. That's so good. But I want to see if anyone would like to share anything or offer anything to our group, or just, yeah, if you have anything you'd like to
I really love this thing of your grandmother. And it is that same thing of, I think there was that horse, the person with the horse and the horse's leg, and that whole story of whatever happens, right? Is it good? Is it bad?
Yes, exactly. Right. That story of the Zen story where the farmer goes, there's that story, for some of you have maybe have not heard it, but there's a story of a villager who one day comes back to his village and he has a new horse, and everyone's like, wow, that's good luck. You got a horse. It was like a wild horse. But then the next day he got thrown off that horse and he broke his leg. So then all the villagers came out and they were like, oh, wow, that's terrible, right? But then the next day after that, or a couple of days later, the military comes to gather up all the men to go fight in the war. And because he had a broken leg, they go, you have a broken leg, you don't get to go. And all the villagers like, wow, that's really great. And then and then his horse ran away, and everyone was like, "Wow, your horse ran away. That's really sad." Then the next day he comes back with 4 horses. Not only, and everyone was like, "Wow, now you have 5 horses." So on and on and on we go. So it's like, maybe it's good, maybe it's not good. Maybe, we just have to trust and rest in the love. And every time that his neighbors would come over to the villager, he would go, maybe. That was his response when they would go, "Oh, how terrible." And he'd go, "Maybe." Or then he'd go, "This is great." He would go, "Maybe it is." He was just like, maybe it's good, maybe it's not. It just is. So thank you for reminding. Yeah, I used to tell that story quite often. I might have missed a few things in it, but thank you all. So yes, my grandmother was so like that. Her phone rang all day with half of it was good news, the other half was bad news, and she would just sit on the couch and go, "Oh, okay." It was just holding it. And so I love that story. I'm going to write about her, write a book on wisdom from our grandmothers. The wisdom of the grandmothers, the heart
Yeah.
wisdom.
And maybe you should definitely do that book, or maybe make it an anthology with different people contributing.
That's a beautiful idea.
Stories from each of us has our own grandmother's stories, and so maybe it would be nice to have a compilation of
Yes,
wisdoms from our grandmothers.
absolutely. I think, yeah, it's coming. I wrote about her in my Harriet Tubman book, and I've been feeling her spirit around me so much. So, and all of our grandmothers, everybody, these holidays and times of a year, we tend to think about our ancestors that are alive, our relatives that are here, and those that have passed on in the spirit world. It really is a time to talk to them. They're close at hand. So my grandmother was obsessed on Christmas. So of course I'd be hearing her. She was like, "Christmas." It was a baking for 10 days leading up, and then 10 days after, through all the way to the after New Year's. And it was like holiday mania, and she loved it because it was fun to send love to people, to share food, to share gifts, little things, and share chicken, share our chicken dinners. So thank you for that reminder. Yeah. Would anybody else like to say anything or share anything? Thank you, Rupa. Anybody? Baba, would you like to say a word from your wisdom heart?
Yes, namaste, namaste. It was a beautiful class of metta. So I just want to share just some of the chats, and I'll share some of my feelings too. Tisha says she's sending so much gratitude to us for these weekly gatherings and each and every exchange within the gatherings. This has and continues to be a true sanctuary. Thank you. And MG says thank you as well. Thank you guys. And Robert, of course, says thank you, who we adore. I can just say the meta lately, I have felt very emotional. I don't know, it's interesting. It's like I've been just doing, I have Buddhism is still very new to me, in these practices, and I just feel oftentimes like I want to cry a lot. So I feel very sentimental, especially spending time with my mom and aunt. And I just realized how beautiful and impermanent time is, and just looking at where they are today versus when I was a child, and just seeing how vulnerable they are physically, but how deep they are wisdom. Every time I look at them now, they're just so adorable. And I just want to cry a lot. And I've been with them, for the past week. So that's kind of interesting. So maybe you want to talk a little bit about crying.
It's so many tears right now. Oh my God. Today I was just like, yeah, I was telling you, I was weeping as I was clearing out this other old house. I moved, and then I was like, ah! And then these kids were outside and they were being so nice to each other. well, I don't know if they had opened some Christmas presents, but they were skating and they were helping each other because it was bumpy on their skates. And that made me tear up thinking of my sister. And it's really, really a time where we are changing. And when you come into your heart more, you feel the love of your people. You've been sending the messages about how cute your grandmother and auntie are and how they're getting smaller. Like they're shrinking as they're pretty much gonna poof to the spirit world, right? I know. And then just like all the people that we love, and they are impermanent. And this is a deep truth that the heart somehow knows, even when our mind doesn't want that. The heart knows the tenderness of impermanence, right? That these elders are here, but this is not any of our final destination. We are passengers, and they have other lives to live. And the feeling of that does produce a lot of tears. It's like, oh my God, like it's all happening and it's all going at the same time. This God has changed. Love is all there is. That's why love is all there is. At some point, you only can love it as it's passing. So I know I have been so teary in ways that I don't even, I just have my hanky. I'm being one of those people older. Like, that woman who was always crying. I had this teacher who was like that. I guess I was going to say Tammy Faye. I do believe she had a good heart. I do believe she got caught up in some drama. But, it's like, oh my God, I'm just like could cry too thinking about your mom and their prayer. They're just like a prayer team. And so all we have is love, everybody. That's it. Nothing matters outside of that. It's like when we get to the end of our lives, that's the only question we will ask. Did I love well? Did I have skin in the game of the heart? Was I in the arena with it? And that's the truth. So we're gonna keep going, okay? I'm going to be making our class more excitement, and I'm so committed to this Tuesday night practice with you all. It deeply heals me. And Baba, I love us, our team, and so I just send you all so much love, and stay warm and cozy. And you can do metta anytime. You don't need the heart class, you can do it, you can do it. And so let's go to Anita. Anita, you'll be our last comment. I see your hand up.